guard is 6'6" grand student from Franklin State, North Carolina. Number 4, Dre Bullock.
What's up, you guys? So UH men's basketball last played on Thursday, November 20th against Arizona State. It was the first time that UH had gone up against Arizona State since March of 1998. And that ended in a double-digit win for the University of Hawaii at home. Unfortunately, 27 years later, it was different. UH wound up on the losing end of this game. As you can see the score here, it was 83-76. Arizona State wins. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but obviously that was a winnable game. Unfortunately, UH was shorthanded. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but first off, guys, remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to. The next time they play is tonight against Division II Hawaii Pacific University, and that's going to be a hard one too, because obviously, if you remember a few weeks ago or about a month ago, Hawaii Pacific University took down Boise State by 1 at their place. So that's going to be a tough one for sure. Normally, I would say that it's in the bag, but obviously the Division II opponents at the University of Hawaii, whether that be HPU or Chaminade or UH Hilo, have gotten a lot more scrappier over the years. And normally, UH would win by about 20 or 30 or even more than that, and everything would just seem hunky-dory. But obviously, that isn't going to be the case this time. So remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to. And with that being said, let's get into this. So there's my banner. UH falls to Arizona State. 32 complete minutes played. UH could have won shorthanded. Now, let me get this out of the way. Harry Ruliadef, the team captain, sat out for a second straight game because of what happened in the Manhattan game when he took a shoulder to the head by another Australian player on the Manhattan roster. And unfortunately, Ruliadef did not return in that game. He did not play against Utah Tech, and that was a time where UH could have used his services, but we were able to come through and find a way to win. This was probably the game where we could have used Harry Ruliadef's services. Another guy who was not dressed for action, Isaiah Kerr. And the word was that Isaiah Kerr was out due to an ankle injury, as per ESPN Honolulu and the guys like Josh Pacheco and Gary Dickman. By the way, shout out to those guys. Hopefully I'll be working for them soon, if there is an opening at all. But still. But for that game anyway, Arizona State, that was a bit of a disappointment. But still, you cannot say that this team did not try. UH led for, I would say, 31 of the 40 minutes. Because although UH started out well, it's about how you finish. And unfortunately, from about under 8 minutes to go, it was all Arizona State who outscored the Bows 26-11 in the final 8 minutes. The unfortunate last hurrah was a shot clock buzzer beater triple from Isaac Johnson. And you would think that would have been a momentum booster for the Bows. Unfortunately, it was not. And as a result, UH was outscored 26-11 in the last 8 minutes. However, on a good note, one guy in particular really grew up this season, and that's Aaron Hunkin-Claytor. He went for a career-high 18 behind Isaac Johnson's 23. The only other guy who cracked double digits was Gytis Nemeikša with 12. And while I would give that game a B, mainly because of what happened in the final 8 minutes, that proved to me that UH will have some of their conference opponents on the ropes. And it looks like that they will turn back some of the perennial frontrunners like Irvine and Santa Barbara. They just have to figure out how to get better in the stretch run. And had UH played a lot better and not so tentative in those final 8 minutes, that probably would have been a win. Or if Harry Ruliadev and or Isaiah Kerr were out there, we would have won this game going away. And those of you who were at that game like I was, you can make a case about that, about Ruliadev and Kerr not being out there. And had they been out there, this would have been a win going away. But also, another way that Arizona State kind of got away with this win was because the officials had let go as many as 3 flops on the court. Now, was that the whole reason why UH lost that game? No, it had nothing to do with that. But on one side of the coin, I do believe those refs should be held accountable for letting at least a couple of those flops go. Because in total, I counted about 5 times that Arizona State got away with the flop. And while I do think that those refs should have been held accountable for at least 1 or 2 of those, that wasn't the reason why we lost. It all had to do with how we played in those last 8 minutes. It should have been a win because UH looked really good early on. They had a lead by as much as 8. But obviously credit to Arizona State. Beating them can be a real chore because they're in the Big 12 or the Pac-12 or whatever. But still, we've beat them before. And should we have beaten them? I would say yes. But obviously, they're a tough team. And they definitely proved why. Their lead scorer was Bryce Ford with 20. And while Isaac Johnson led the Bows with 23, he did provide a big spark, maybe next to Aaron Hunkin-Claytor. But a guy that I was really looking for bigger things from was probably Isaac Finlinson. I mean, his numbers were okay, just not outstanding. I really thought that Finlinson was going to do a little better than what he did, but I don't think he played terribly. But still, I was also looking for a little bit more from Dre Bullock. He had 9 points, but he was kind of held in check for much of the game. And I mean, that's scouting. Everybody scouts your opponents. And while I was looking for double digits from Dre Bullock, he still had a good game overall. He still tried to do what he could away from the scoring category. But still, I thought that game that UH played, that was probably their best performance in a loss this season. Now, obviously, there was the 1-point loss against Oregon, at Oregon, of course. But obviously, that was a pretty woeful shooting night, as some people would describe that as. But the fact that UH was still able to keep pace with them is speaking a ton of volumes. And the fact that UH led for as long as they did against Arizona State, that speaks volumes as far as conference play is concerned. Now, obviously, conference play is in a couple of weeks, but I do believe that they've proven that they're ready. They'll go up against Davis and Fullerton first, and I think those two should be wins as long as they play hard and start out well. And, of course, everybody says it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And if UH puts a lot of emphasis on finishing the games, whether it's the final 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, or even 10 minutes, that'll show that they came to play. And they've got an NCAA tournament bid in them, let alone qualify for the Big West tournament. And if they make the Big West tournament this year, they're miles ahead of where they were last year. That's for sure. So I really needed to get this game out of the way because the next time they play is tonight against HPU. That'll be a tough one, but obviously UH will have the pace. They just need to come out, play hard, don't take them lightly, and just go a couple hundred on the freeway. Of course, I say that proverbially. Okay? So, like I said, I would give that game a B, mainly because of what happened in those final 30 or those final 8 minutes. It could have been a win, but but it seemed like they kind of hit a wall towards the end, and they were kind of playing a little hesitant. And if they can cut that out, there'll be threats when conference play comes around. So that's where I'll leave it. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And remember, subscribe, and I'll see you all for UH versus HPU. That'll be tonight, Monday. And the next time they play will be on Friday against North Dakota. So thanks, guys. Subscribe, and I'll see you all again. Go Bows!